It started like most days normal, unbothered, kind of quiet. But underneath that stillness, something else was stirring. There was a nervous energy buzzing inside, a kind of anticipation that couldn't be ignored. It wasn't dramatic or loud, just there. Sitting quietly in the chest like a secret you weren't sure you were allowed to tell. That's how it felt before the first time. Not in a movie scene way, not overly romanticized, but real. Honest, messy in the mind, but calm on the outside. That curious tension between wanting to know and being afraid to find out. There's something about being a teenager, your body feels like it's ahead of your mind, and your emotions are rushing to catch up. You crave closeness, but you're scared of being seen too deeply. You want to explore, but you also want to feel safe. And when someone you like is close enough, looks into your eyes like you're more than just a crush it, creates a moment where curiosity and comfort collide. That's when the thoughts come in. Is this how it's supposed to start? Asterisk, am I really ready for this? Asterisk, but even as those thoughts swirl, there's something beautiful about letting go just a little and trusting that maybe, just maybe, you'll figure it out as you go. The first time isn't always about the act, it's about the anticipation. The heartbeat moments before, the brushing of fingertips, the small smile when you realize you're both equally unsure. It's in the air, heavy and light at the same time. There's a softness in the quiet glances, the way time slows down right before it speeds up. And in that space, in that waiting, curiosity becomes more than just a thought. It becomes something alive, something that lingers. But the most honest part? It's not even about the physical connection. It's about everything leading up to it. The way your chest tightens when they move closer. The sudden awareness of your own body. The silence that says more than words ever could. You don't fully understand what you're doing, but there's this unspoken agreement between you both. We're figuring this out together. That's the real story. Not perfection, not confidence, but curiosity wrapped in fear, covered in hope, and laced with the most fragile kind of trust. That first-time curiosity is soft and loud at once. It's clumsy, beautiful, and a little terrifying, but it's yours. It's real. And it's something you'll never feel in quite the same way again, not because of what happened, but because of everything you felt before it did. There's always a moment, just before everything happens, where silence feels louder than any sound. That's when the doubts start to creep in. Even if everything looked perfect a minute ago, the mood, the feeling, the connection, suddenly your brain starts spinning. It whispers things you didn't plan to hear. What if this is a mistake? Asterisk, what if I'm not ready? Asterisk, what if I regret this tomorrow? Asterisk, these thoughts don't scream, they softly intrude. And it's in those quiet seconds that the mind begins to question everything the heart thought it wanted. For a teen stepping into their first real intimate experience, those doubts aren't rare. They're natural, and they don't always show up with warning. One second you're sure, or you think you are, and the next you're stuck in a loop of wondering if everything's moving too fast. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because it's not just about the moment, it's about what happens after. About how it changes the way you see yourself. And in that space between yes and wait, there's a kind of storm that feels impossible to explain. The thing is, we don't really talk about that hesitation enough. We romanticize confidence and clarity, like people just know when it's right. But most of the time, we don't, especially not the first time. That moment of doubt is human. It's the mind doing a double check, trying to protect something soft and important inside of you. And no matter how sure you were before, when you're actually in the moment, the weight of what's about to happen starts to feel heavier than expected. Sometimes it shows up in your breathing quick, shallow, unsure, or in the way your hands shake just a little, or in how you can't quite hold eye contact even though you want to. It's that strange in-between space where you're not trying to run, but you're not fully leaning in either. And the hardest part is that you don't want to disappoint the other person. You don't want to pull away or ruin the mood, So you smile or nod or stay still, even when your heart is telling you to slow down. But that moment, those seconds of doubt, they matter. They're not weakness, they're wisdom. Your body and your mind asking for just a little more clarity. And if the person you're with really sees you, really respects you, they'll notice, they'll pause, they'll ask. Because real connection listens, even in silence, especially in silence. Looking back, those moments of doubt can teach you something bigger than any experience ever could. They show you that your intuition is strong, that it's okay to pause, to speak, to feel unsure. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit that you're not ready, and that's perfectly okay. There's something deeply intimate about feeling safe. It's more than just a physical closeness, it's emotional, invisible, and powerful. In a world that often romanticizes quick moments and passionate scenes, we rarely highlight the beauty of mutual understanding, of genuine consent, of two people being completely present with each other. But in reality, that's what transforms a first experience from something confusing into something meaningful. It's not about how far you go, but how deeply you connect. And that connection begins with comfort, with being seen, with being heard without even speaking. The truth is, when you're with someone who makes you feel calm, who pays attention to your energy, your silences, your pauses, that's when intimacy becomes something worth remembering. Consent isn't just a question and an answer. It's ongoing, it's fluid. It's the way someone checks in with their eyes, with their touch, with their tone. It's knowing that you can change your mind at any moment and still be respected completely. That kind of presence is rare, especially during something as vulnerable as a first intimate moment. It starts in the small details. Maybe it's the way they ask, "Are you okay?" Not just once, but whenever the energy shifts. Maybe it's the way they stop if you flinch, or how they slow down when they sense hesitation. Maybe it's the way they wait not impatiently, but openly giving you space to decide what feels right for you. These are the unspoken acts of care that build real trust. Because trust isn't built in grand gestures. It's in the softness, in the listening, in the willingness to be guided by your comfort instead of their own desire. And that feeling of being with someone who prioritizes your peace is unforgettable. It stays with you long after the moment ends. It teaches you that love, or even affection, doesn't need to rush. That there's strength in stillness, that touch can be tender, not just passionate. When someone respects your body as much as your words, your emotions, your uncertainties, it becomes more than just an experience. It becomes a mirror showing you that you deserve this kind of care in every relationship. Always. For a teen navigating this for the first time, understanding the power of consent and comfort changes everything. It sets a standard. It teaches you that intimacy isn't about performance, it's about presence. That real connection means never having to hide your hesitation. And when it's done right, it doesn't leave you confused or hollow. It leaves you grounded, whole, more in touch with who you are and what you deserve. So the story here isn't just about a first time. It's about discovering what it means to be safe in someone else's space. And that safety, that trust, that's the kind of intimacy that really matters. That's the kind you'll remember, not because of what happened, but because of how you were made to feel. After it's over, there's this strange quiet. Not the awkward kind, but the kind that feels full, like the air around you is heavier somehow. Your thoughts start to settle like dust in slow motion, and you begin to notice every little thing, the way your heart still beats a little faster, the way your skin feels warmer. And somewhere deep inside, there's this question that creeps in. Did that change me? It's a hard one to answer because it's not just about what happened, it's about how it made you feel. There's no instruction manual for how to feel afterward, and that's what makes this part so complicated. For some, the first experience can leave a quiet sense of pride, a whisper of growth, a realization that a new chapter just began. For others, there can be an achia wondering if the timing was right, if the emotions were truly there, or if it meant as much to the other person as it did to you. And sometimes all those feelings exist at the same time. You can feel proud and uncertain, excited and a little bit lost. That emotional cocktail is normal. Because something personal happened, and now you're left with all the reflections that come with it. It's in these moments that the difference between physical connection and emotional connection becomes clear. If it was based on real trust, respect, and comfort, then even the questions afterward feel gentler. You give yourself permission to feel all the things without guilt or shame. But if it felt rushed, or like a decision made under pressure, then the aftermath can carry a weight that lingers. Not because something's wrong with you, but because your soul knows what it deserved. And sometimes we only realize our boundaries by crossing them first. This part of the story is where self-love shows up in a new way. You begin asking yourself deeper questions. Did I feel safe? Do I feel respected now? Would I make the same choice again? And your answers don't have to be perfect, they just have to be honest. That honesty is where healing begins, or where growth starts to bloom. Whether your experience was everything you hoped for or something more confusing, it becomes a turning point. A soft wake-up call to your values, your needs, and how much your emotions matter. The truth is, how you feel afterward is just as important as what happened. It's not about regret or perfection, it's about recognition, about noticing how your body and heart respond once everything goes still. That awareness is your guide moving forward. It tells you what you want more of and what you'll never accept again. It reminds you that your experience matters every emotion, every doubt, every joy. And with that knowledge, you become more in tune with yourself, more grounded, more whole. Because sometimes the most powerful part of a first experience isn't the moment itself, but what it teaches you about who you are when it's done. There comes a time when you look back at something personal not with judgment, but with a softer kind of understanding. You start to see the whole picture, not just the moment it happened. You recognize how it shaped your perspective, how it helped you grow, even if it didn't unfold the way you imagined. That's the quiet strength of reflection. It doesn't always bring closure immediately, but it creates space to process, to feel, to evolve. The first time, especially something as intimate as a personal or emotional experience, leaves imprints. And how you carry those imprints matters more than the moment itself. Reflection isn't always easy. It brings back feelings you didn't expect, maybe a flicker of embarrassment, a smile, a question that still feels unanswered. But more than anything, it brings awareness. You begin to understand what parts of you changed. Maybe your idea of love matured, or you realized how important it is to feel emotionally ready, not just curious. Maybe you discovered a boundary you didn't know you had, or maybe you learned the kind of connection you truly want going forward. That's growth, even if it felt messy. It's in those quiet moments late at night, when everything is still, that your mind sometimes replays what happened. Not to shame you, but to teach you, to let you unpack it in your own way, to give your heart the time it needs to make peace with it. Reflection doesn't mean regret. It means caring enough about yourself to make sense of what shaped you. That's powerful. That's self-respect. And as time passes, that first experience becomes less about the physical details and more about the emotional meaning. You stop obsessing over what you should have done differently and start focusing on how it changed you. You understand that even if it wasn't perfect, it was part of your journey, a story that belongs to you, written in your own voice. You stop comparing it to what other people experienced or what media made it look like, because yours was real, personal, and uniquely yours. That's the beauty of reflection. It gives you clarity. It helps you walk forward with stronger boundaries, deeper self-awareness, and a better understanding of what makes you feel valued and seen. You start to choose differently, love more intentionally, and listen to your instincts with more trust. Your story becomes a part of your foundation, not something to hide, but something that quietly fuels your strength. So yes, the first time might have come with confusion, nerves, or even a little pain. But through reflection, you find meaning. You find your voice. You learn what you want to protect next time, what you'll never settle for again, and how you deserve to feel safe and whole in someone's presence. And that's how growth happens, not in big moments, but in the slow, steady understanding of your own worth. When we piece together everything from the initial curiosity and emotional awakening to the fine line between comfort and confusion, all the way through the aftermath of self-reflection, it becomes clear that a first experience is never just a moment. It's a journey of discovering who you are beneath the surface, what truly matters to you, and how deeply you value your own boundaries and emotions. It's not about rushing into adulthood or living up to unrealistic expectation. It's about honoring your pace, your feelings, and your voice. Love, lust, curiosity, pressure, consent, safety, all of these threads are part of the story, and every one of them teaches something real. What you take away from it is more important than what actually happened. Whether your first experience was beautiful, complicated, or even disappointing, you deserve to carry it with compassion. Because growth doesn't come from perfection, it comes from awareness. And with every honest reflection, you become more confident in your worth, more grounded in your decisions, and more ready to choose what feels right for you on your terms, in your time.